Welcome to Sunday Shift. As you
Hello.
see, we have a guest host. Tara, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, I'm going to do this right. I have a whole little thing. Please remember to like and subscribe to us. If you like what you see, tell a friend. We really just enjoy talking about GH with y'all. So leave us comments. We see them, and we will try to respond to them.
Ooh, can I do a shameless plug?
Always.
Oh, go listen to Port Misery because I started doing it again. Go figure. I'm that person. I'm like Prince. I'm like the artist formerly known as Port Misery, and then I just leave. And then 'cause I'm like, I'm done talking about this show. I have nothing to say, but I'm still watching because I'm addicted. I can't stop. But I recently decided to start doing it again, and I've been keeping it up.
You
So
have.
yeah, I recorded one today. So go listen where you get all your podcasts. Shameless plug.
Not shameless. I love it. I listen to Port Misery every week, so make sure you keep up with it. And happy birthday, Tonya. Tonya is out both saving the world. She did like a neighborhood cleanup today, and she's also celebrating her birthday.
Happy birthday, Tonya.
Yeah, leave her some birthday love in the comments. What a week.
What a week. It's not a fireable offense like it was last week, but
There were points when I said, this is why Chris D'Elia got fired.
they're still fired. It wasn't saving anyone's job. I've seen jobs be saved on this show, and this was not saving anyone's job, but it wouldn't have got them fired like last week. Like,
Well, let's just get into it. So I am going to do it a little different than what we usually do. Because Tara's here, Tara likes to go. If you listen to Port Misery or when you listen to Port Misery, she goes story by story. So because you are our special guest, that is what we are going to do this week. So first, because we're gonna do it that way. Oh, go ahead, Tara. You had a
oh, no, I'm just like, I never know what to do with my hands when I'm like hanging off my bedpost. I'm like, and so I might become Italian. Like I'm a falconeri Cirillo for this moment.
I love it. It's on me. No, that was offensive. I'm sorry. No, this is chaotic. Okay. This is
Yeah,
what happens when Tara is here.
yeah.
So. It's so wild because I was talking to Sandra about this. We started the podcast because we loved Sprina so much.
Ooh,
Like that's why we started the podcast. I mean,
that
like for a long time we had like watched General Hospital and like I knew Tanya watched it because I saw some of her tweets sometimes. Um, but yeah, like we watched it and like we were just like we love this couple. So it was kind of wild and it's actually like a little sad that neither of them are here. Like you couldn't be like the third host this week or something. Um because like it's like a full kind of almost circle moment. So
it really is like series finale of Sunday Shift. Bye. Like,
peace out, y'all. No, we're gonna be here. We're gonna be here. But it's just it was yeah, it was interesting. Um so Tanya's not here. But I'm gonna do performance of the week for her, who I believe Tanya would have given performance of the week. So we know that Tanya loves to feel. We know if somebody makes Tanya cry, that's her performer of the week. So I'm going to go ahead and say that for Tanya, her performer of the week would have been Jeannie Francis, right? Like that was the person, like there were moments that I was like, oh my God, Jeannie, you're breaking me. Um, and I will say, and I know this might be controversial, but I've always loved the character of Spencer. So like Nicholas Betchel was like my child for real. You know what I mean? Like that Spencer was like my kid. Um, and so watching her like see that picture of him before Nicholas showed up, and like when she was looking at her phone, it was a picture of Nicholas Betchel, and I was like, oh, that's a really kind of sweet moment and like a sweet shout out. And it really just, when she was like talking to Kevin and she was like, this, I just hear silence in a house that used to be so full. And then you remember that like Ace is gone and Esme and Spencer used to live in her house. When Nicholas was fake dead, like Spencer was her kid. She was his emotional support. She was his parent. So Jeannie, ugh, I think that also is like an auntie, you know. I have all of these kids who I love, that I cannot imagine not having in my life. So it just, you know, I think as you get older, you look at things a different way, and you feel them a different way. So like if you're, you know, a teenager maybe, or like, you know, a younger person and like you're in Trina's shoes, maybe that feels different. Or if you're in Joss's shoes, or if you're in whatever shoes. But for me, looking at Jeannie as like this parental figure who's that not that wasn't her kid, but that was her kid, it really just took me out. And I think that they would have done the same to Tonya.
Yeah, she's lost a lot on this show. I mean, she's seen Lucky blow up in a fire. He didn't die, but it's still traumatic. Nicholas just stays faking his death.
Stays
Just
it.
kind then Lulu blew up in the floating rib, and now Spencer, and then Charlotte just got shot. I mean, Jake got fake run over, was gone for, months, years.
Hmm.
Um, Cameron's had several guns pointing at him, including him pointing one at Jordan. I did not forget.
I never
Um,
forgotten.
like, but she's been through a lot. She was catatonic, like, 'cause she killed several people. Like, she's just been through so much. And I thought that, like, Jeannie killed it. And, like, for me, it was the Cyrus showing up and, like,
Oh
him being,
God.
oh, Spencer's definitely in heaven, so don't even trip. And she's like, bruh, what are you
She's like, this
saying?
is not comforting me.
Exactly. Just having two mobsters in her house, it was very weird. She was like, what is happening here? Both of you leave. Um, but that would be Tanya's performer of the week, I think. Yeah.
Hmm.
My performer of the week is Dennis Muldoon, dead man from the film. He almost got him. He worked so hard to
And he would
steal,
have if it wasn't for you pesky kids.
so he was so close to conning Finn out of all of his non-existent money.
It's like, does Finn have money?
That's why he gave the Blackwoods thing to the hospital. So the hospital has money. So like, why are we suing Finn? Sue GH.
And the hospital still didn't even have his bag. Ooh, what a
No,
loser.
where was the lawyer? Where was the hospital lawyer? It was Tracy. Tracy was representing the hospital. It was weird.
And as his friend, what a
Hmm.
mess.
But that would be my chaotic performer of the week. The ghost of Dennis Muldoon.
I do want to talk about other moments. I mean, this was like I think a really good week for performances. So, want to say about Welcome Back, Eden. Oh,
Yeah,
I was so happy to have my girl back. Lord, I'm not
I
gonna get
know.
into the other one.
We missed you.
Ugh, missed you. And the fact that like the whole Tross scene, amazing. There,
Yeah.
the chemistry between Eden and Tabiana is not like you can't replicate that with like Fojas. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
was really glad that that scene was grounded with the two of them.
Hmm.
Um like just the performance that they were able to pull out of each other. I felt like that was the best expression of grief from Trina too. So I just felt like the two of them together, amazing. I did like that shot of Trina where she was like crying on the boat right before the montage. I really am a fan of stoic grief. Like I know soaps are like over the top, and you gotta cry, you gotta grieve, but I really love a stoic, like I'm gonna have my one tear moment, get that screen cap. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was a really good moment. Um, I liked Ava's reaction of like shock, and then I gotta call Trina to make sure she's good. So I feel
Hmm.
like folks did a really good job. Um, and we'll talk more about this. I'm having a tough time like feeling the loss. It's harder when you know so much about behind the scenes.
Hmm.
Like we have been wondering how they were gonna write him off. We know he has more contract left, so the assumption is that he's gonna come back to close it out. So it's really hard to like think, oh, this is it. Um in the same way, I mean, not that I cared about Jason in that way, but like with Jason, we're like, oh, he's in this tunnel, he's coming back.
Yeah, we all knew he was coming back. I think it was more real in 2012 when like machinations were happening.
Yeah,
And he seemed like such a, I mean, he's a really hard character to recast. So you're like, ooh, well, they're not going to jump at recasting. They're going to let this rest. I mean,
right.
I thought there was a lot of good performances this week just because they put people with unexpected people. So you
Mm,
ended up like I really liked the Carly versus Tracy. I wasn't expecting it. And so
right.
like Jane and Laura played really well off of each other. And like I love Jane. She's like that consummate professional where like even though this is I think it's maybe just her third Carly. I don't think she was there for Carly number 3 or she wasn't
No.
directly, but like, even though this is her third Carly, she's talking to her like she was been on this show the entire time, like just popping off like you're a gun mall. Even though I found that hilarious because I'm like, Tracy, you are the OG gun mall. I don't know what you're not. You've been you've been married to so many mobsters. But like I loved them together. I liked Ava and Sunny. I thought Mora brought a really good performance out of Mo. And I liked them with Avery and
Mm.
them, having to explain that like bitches be rolling through Sunny's pimp house at Avery, and her being like, shrug, okay, thanks.
Can I go
you know,
play?
yeah. And so like there was a lot of really good because they're shaking up the canvas,
Yeah,
which is never a bad thing. Like
it's
move,
always a good thing.
yeah, move people around.
Oh, I loved Lois. We're getting into storylines. Okay. Yeah. I feel like those are the ones I wanted to point out. Also, before we move into storylines, also want to say I liked Portia because it was unexpected grief. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a really good, okay, I didn't expect this. And I really enjoyed that as well.
Like, keeping it real goes wrong. Like, wish too hard for your boyfriend, your daughter's boyfriend to disappear, and then he falls off a boat in the
Oof,
sun. You're like, ah,
didn't mean to do that.
exactly.
She was like, let me straighten my hair for this. But anyway,
You get the silk press.
she's like, can I get my silk press on the huge jet? Thanks,
Ned was like,
Ned.
of course. Ned was like, am I a white millionaire? Of course you can.
He said, I'm related to the wards. I know what you might need, Portia.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know. Okay, cool. Let's move it along. Yeah, let's start with the story. Spencer, Esme, presumed dead. I was surprised. So Avery Pohl is also out. Um, I was surprised by that. What about you?
Yeah, I was too. I actually had it written down, the people who were out, and I actually had to scratch in Avery because I was not expecting her to be out. I was expecting her to give sass to people about why she had to throw Spencer off that boat.
Right. I mean, I don't know how you come back from that. So I mean, unless Spencer's alive. So I didn't see how she could stick around with a presumed dead Spencer. So I'm not shocked, but I was surprised.
I mean, I just find it funny because they're doing this with the Sin, which is like in the middle of civilization. They act like he fell into the Amazon River. Like they should both be fine, to be honest. Like, what's going on?
Um, okay. I want to get into like what I liked about the story and then I want to pick it apart. Can we do that? Or
Yes,
can we talk about it
like
and then pick it apart? No, because I have stuff to pick apart too. So started off, obviously, Kevin wakes up with the best memory on earth. He was like, hold on. I saw the credit card. It ended in 4723. And then it had the on the back, the numbers. Like he just had the best memory. So Esme sent them off to Canada. Um, Dante Chase in Canada,
she's
Toronto.
so clever.
Went to go see Maggie. Maggie walked up when Dante walked up, Maggie looked at her like, where find out Sam at? Um and Dom was wondering the same thing.
Mm,
Where is find
Ma-
out Sam?
Maggie didn't claim Esme at all. She was like, "Look, I feel bad for her that she has whatever life she has, but I have a really good job. I
I have
can't,
a really good job. I can't mess with her. She got
yeah,
problems.
yeah. That's something else. That ain't me."
That's somebody else. But then they realized, oh shoot, Esme, Paris. Esme had the same needle dealer as Harmony in Paris, apparently.
Hmm.
Had a
Went to
drug.
Gardenor. She went right to Gardenor, got some drugs. She knew what she was doing. I feel you, Esme.
Um, when all the adults in Port Charles find out, obviously Curtis, Portia, Laura rush to Paris to meet Dante. Not Chase, just Dante. Dante apparently has jurisdiction there.
I know.
Whatever, we'll go with it.
He doesn't have it
And
in deep corners, but he has it in Paris.
what I guess. And then, we find out that Esme and Spencer had gone overboard and are now presumed dead. I um I will say, like I said, I felt it's hard, and it wasn't until they got back into Port Charles that I was able to really feel the loss. But what I will say is this was like a gift, and I feel like the story and like so much of it was like a gift to fans of that couple. Because here, like I'm a shipper of couples, right? Like so I ship Joey and Pacey from Dawson's Creek way back. I'm old, right? And so when it comes to Joey and Pacey, I'm gonna talk my shit, period. Right? I'm gonna be like, look at this scene, look at that scene. I'm gonna pull it up and I'm gonna run it back. And I feel like what GH did was like, okay, Sprina, let me give you something to pull up and run back. So they had like the moments where they said, I love you. They had like really clear declarations of love. Um, it kind of reminded me, not the same at all, but like it kind of reminded me of how like before they killed Lucky way back in the day, they had Liz and Lucky like do the declarations of love. I felt like that was really different. Obviously, that was a church and it was like really like very wedding like, but I feel like for Sprinter they were like, okay, you're gonna do these declarations of love. Um, we're gonna reaffirm to you that this is like I'm gonna love you for the rest of my life from Spencer. Like it was here you go, shippers, talk your shit. That's how I felt that the writers were thinking about it. What about you? How did you feel about any of it, all of it?
it,
You're cracking me up. You're like, yeah, maybe, huh?
it happened. I mean, this story just isn't for me because there's too many things to pick apart. And like it's not,
Yeah.
it's not if performances aside, like I think that both of them did the best with what they could with a very rushed storyline.
Yes.
And so like the declaration of love were nice. Like the moments of them being together were nice. It was giving me like Sam 2012 before Jason goes into the harbor.
Right.
Um, they're coming home with Danny. They're going to be a family. Everything's going great. And now he's being shot by fake fucking Duke,
Right, right,
fake
right,
mask. And
right.
so, like, it was definitely giving that. I think, like, that is where the comparison ends for me because, like, Jason stuff lasted for months. And even in the immediate aftermath, it was like Sam is refusing to think he's dead, and like she's jumping in the harbor. She's refusing to hold funerals. She won't even talk about him as if he's not alive. And
Hmm.
like other people are dealing with it, like it's reverberating through the town. And I think we're gonna start seeing that reverberation next week. Like it's very soon. So it's like Laura knows, Trina's family knows because they came for reasons. Um, and then Alexis is obviously about to find out. Sunny found out. And so we're gonna
Which was
get,
lackluster, if I'm being honest.
yeah, all of a sudden it became about Sunny beating a man in a church. I was like, what's happening here?
Well, even when he told Ava, he was like, turns out Spencer died.
Yeah,
Like,
Spencer's dead.
what?
Trina's fine. Trina's fine. Spencer's dead though. Like, okay. But yeah, it was just this I'm waiting for more of the Laura and Trina are out here having and Portia randomly, who saw that coming, being the emotional center of this, but like everybody else is kind of like lackluster. And I feel like because like unlike with the and it's not this it is the same situation because they knew for months that Nicholas Chavez was leaving. They can't be like he just came out of nowhere. He sprung it on us. And they also knew for months that Steve was leaving. And I feel like Chris and Dan just did not put any care into past the fan moments,
Yeah, I
right?
agree with that. I 100% agree with that. I think that part of it for Nicholas, that like for Nicholas Chavez that was hard is he was supposed to have been gone shooting that show last year. And so because of the strike, they basically had to like stretch out Sprina and stretch out their story, which is why for me, and so let me back up and say this. I don't remember, maybe it was a Sprina first time. I don't remember what it was, but people were really mad at me because I was critical. And they left in the comments and they were like, I just wanted to like enjoy this. And I didn't want for you to be saying this. And I hear that. I like to listen to videos that reaffirm me too. So if you only want positive things said, you should skip over this because I'm going to be really critical of the writing and the way they're doing these characters.
I think you can add timestamps.
That sounds like a lot of work.
YouTube, so I'm not gonna tell anybody to start adding timestamps to things. So
That sounds like a lot of work because it's not about the two actors. It is, and it's about what I feel like I've seen in the story that I have felt about for a while. So I feel, and I say this because these are characters that I really care about. Um, so I think that they were trying to stretch out because they didn't know what was going to happen with the strike, and they didn't know when he was going to leave. And so because of that, we kind of saw a Spencer who was doing nothing but babysitting. So we went from, you remember, like he was like auditing classes at one point at PCU. Um, I know that he did it because he was poor, but he was working at Kelly's. He was actually doing something, and then he wasn't. That's a regression of his character. And then you have Trina, who had always been the one who was like, bro, you spoiled. What you about to do? Like that was part of the dynamic and what made the couple really special for me. That was like I love a rich dude working class woman ship. Like that's like I love that because I love the idea of like him doing really nice things for her and spoiling her and her enjoying them, but also pushing back like, bro, what you about to do? And because they didn't know what was going to happen with the scheduling, they just like I feel like regressed both of these characters. So now, and we don't know, maybe she'll turn it around, but now we have Trina telling Josh, like, oh yeah, I'm just not gonna do school. Well, what does Trina have to do? Because we know how easy it is to disappear Black women, especially from this canvas. So they continue to uproot her from her experiences. We were talking about this before when she was like talking to Josh, like, how does it feel to lose somebody? And I'm not comparing the relationship she had with Rory with Spencer. It's clearly not. That was never going to be the case. I don't even think when it was happening, anybody thought it was the case. He was a placeholder. He was like something to do to like stretch Sprina out. But the reality is, most of us knew NAC was going to leave eventually. So why did they take all of these steps to stretch out Sprina in a way that didn't grow them? So Trina is not even like acknowledging that she had another boyfriend who died. Like things shouldn't just happen to characters to happen and then we move on. Things should happen to characters that then become part of their characterization. So like a lot of people, most people didn't like Oscar and Jocelyn. I did because I love A Walk to Remember. Most people, I'm probably one of a million who like them, right? And it's not something she talks about every day, but it certainly is part of her character. they keep stripping away pieces of Trina's character. They went to Paris and didn't even tell Taggart. So I have a problem with the fact that we don't see Taggart, but damn, we can't even get a mention. We can't even get a I text him, I called him, or whatever. I'm gonna
No.
pause. I'm talking too long. Go ahead.
No, 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 you're good. You're good. I mean, it's one of those things where I think there's a lot of things that suffered due to the writer's strike. And the
Yeah.
young adults are definitely one of them because one, the storyline would have made a lot more sense. Like you could tell they wanted to do it for fall. Um, that way you could get Sprina off screen without having to necessarily kill Spencer. And then maybe you could come back to this story a little later. It was weird to me that they started it right now because like PCU, I assume, is a school that's on semesters, so they wouldn't be in session. They're not going to be in session for like another week and a half, I think. And so it's a cute thing. And then going in spring, it's cute. And then like you have this cute thing for Trina, and then Esme comes and ruins it. And now Paris is ruined. I teared when she said Paris was ruined because that's my favorite city. I fucking love that city. Like
Yeah.
I do not regret my study abroad in Paris. It was very fun. Highly recommend. 10 out of
Yeah,
10.
you were excited when she got in because you're like, oh, I love Paris. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't go to that school, but it's also like a really famous school. So I went to Sciences Po, which is in the seventh, but it's closed. So like people hang out. My roommate in Paris went to La Sorbonne, but
That's where Spencer was gonna live, right? In the seventh? Is that not, or is that
no,
in
he's
the wrong?
living in the fifth. He was gonna
Oh,
live in the fifth in the Latin Quarter.
got it.
Very hoity-toity. But Sorbonne is in the fifth, and so he
That
was
makes
gonna be
sense.
real close to her. Like whatever dorm they put her in was not gonna be in the fifth, though. So she wasn't gonna be living near her. Thought about that. Um, but yeah, I just think that there were. I mean, I think there's also different ways to do the story they played out. Because like one of the things that bugged me was that he took her overboard with him. Like I wanted her to just shove him over, and then Trina to shove her over. Like let her join the murder club. You know,
Uh,
she's due. She should be catching bodies at this point. Um,
yeah,
and I just wanted more like, and I think that I saw some people on Twitter were a little disappointed that she's like already talking to his ghost and stuff. Like,
mm,
you're just already like that's the thing that's bugging me the most, I think. Um, they're all just like he's definitely 1,000% dead. Like, don't even have hope. Like, how could he survive in the perilous waters of the Sin?
yeah. I part of it I thought made more sense that they thought he was dead because of whatever Esme like injected him with, which would mean that they didn't think that she was dead. You know what I mean?
They're like, no, they're both definitely dead. Those like river crocodiles in the Seine must have gotten them. Like
Yeah, and then I want to also be critical about some other things. And again, this is just the eye that like took me out of something that should have been better, and it showed how rushed it was. The Tano in France with the wrinkled French flag. It's like just give them more. You know what I'm saying? Like put more effort into this. The idea that they went on the Le Haunted Star,
let's well, Jose.
like I just I'm like, why in the heck would they be on another boat? I don't know. And I would have I don't know. I also, like I said, I like stoic grief. I would like the idea. And again, we can't really say what it is, like the we'll see more as it plays out. But I would have loved for her to be like, Spencer would want me to finish school. Spencer would want, and because I know it's a very real thing for grief to take you out, like
Hmm.
very real thing. And I want her to still be front burner without him. And I think the way to do that is to like say, I'm going to continue to do this for him. I'm going to her to still be in relationship with Laura, like, you know, those kind of things. We'll see what happens. But they don't seem to be setting her up for that.
Yeah, I I literally just recorded Port Misery, so I'm going to try and take my own advice because I talked about how one of the issues I think watching in a group setting, whether or not you watch like we do in Discord or you watch on Twitter with people, and you're in conversation, is that like sometimes when you're in conversation with people, you can get like panicked and be like, where the fuck is this story going? I'm
Yeah,
panicked.
yeah,
And like people like, and I do this too, like we'll prejudge it before we let it play out. And so like I will say for people who are like listening now and like, why aren't you being more positive? I would say that like these are things that we're seeing right now that concern us because we're like, what's going on? And we've seen it played differently with characters, and we've seen like it was very jarring to me, and I think it's very jarring to us just in like what we do and stuff to see a young Black girl be like, I'm just gonna quit school, my boyfriend died. Not that it's not unrealistic, you know, it's definitely realistic, it's just kind of jarring. But also that like you have to let it play out and see where it goes, and I think like next
right,
week is a big indicator of where the story's going.
right,
um and so that's my main thing. I think that like what concerns me is how little care production put into this exit,
hmm,
and this separation. Not necessarily and not ever how much the actors put in, because we
right,
know how hard they work,
right,
and they give their all to this stuff. And so I think like, and obviously I can't speak for Tracy, but I like to think that like when we're talking about this, it's always about the production, like the writers, the
yeah,
producers, the
yeah,
directors. Like these are the people who make the schedules, who make the scripts, who tell the actors what to do. And these actors come and they give their all to not always the best material.
right,
They
right.
have to sell it, and they do sell it. And so like the criticism always comes from a place of like production, not
100%.
performance. And so I think that that is something that like I think every podcast or like platform I've ever been on, but I've been on recently with like Jackson on or Sunday Shift or Brit Spaces. That is always the main difference in the conversation. And so if you hear it and you assume we're talking about performance, just know that like we are definitely not. And
No.
so like
And I
when
would
we
never
say
talk about
yeah,
Tatiana and Nicholas. No.
exactly.
I might
And
talk
that's
about Mo, but
I will definitely talk about Mo, but I feel like like I'm like that crazy. I'm your biggest fan. But yeah, when I say like it's the main reason I give people nicknames. It's the main reason I try to be very about the characters. To the
hmm,
point where I talk as if they are real, because like I never want people to think
yeah.
I'm talking about Nicholas when I'm saying Spencer's a piece of shit. Um,
Right, right,
you know, just because like he gives us all, and like that is a part of how he should be written. Like he gave away a baby and was like flippant about it till the very end,
right.
right? He went to his watery supposed grave knowing that he was 100% in the right to give Sis's baby away. He was like, I did that shit.
Well, let's
That's
talk about that. I think that that's interesting, an interesting like part of the story, which is the Esme piece. Because
yeah.
so if you listen to this podcast, you know I hate Esme.
Woo.
I thought Avery was amazing. I still think she was amazing. I think Avery cooked on her way out. Like,
She
I
said
think,
eight. I was like, where are the lies? I keep waiting for her to say something wild, but everything she's saying is correct. Like
and
a
she kept
billion
it.
did
But
steal her baby.
this is like also, I think, an interesting writing piece because they had set up this thing of her being like jealous of Spencer and Trina, And then we get there and it is really all about Ace.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't understand what the point of this was. Like that there is this like, what is the point of writing her in this way if she's exiting? Like there was like nuance there. And part of that is because Avery's so good. Like that's also part of it. But when she hit the captain over the head, it was, oh my God, is he gonna be okay? It was like she wasn't gonna hurt people. Her plan was really or like she wasn't gonna kill people. Her plan was really, I'm gonna like kidnap you to get my kid back. And I thought that was an interesting like juxtaposition because when Portia was saying, I'm definitely coming with you to Paris, Laura was like, oh yeah, you're her mother. Of course she would come. So if you know that Portia would do anything as a mother, why did we set it up that we didn't know that Esme would do anything as a mother? And I don't even mean that as just a characterization. I mean that as like of people not understanding that this girl was in a desperate place and taking the proper precautions. Like, what do you like, Spencer? You knew she her memory back. Well, Esme prior to memory loss tried to kill Oz Haggerty and would have drugged Trina to death, to be honest. So why is it that you would think that that person who is now in a desperate place because you took their baby and gave the baby away wouldn't also continue to be in a desperate place? It just
Yeah.
like didn't make sense to me.
I mean, because it doesn't make sense. Like, why not have her get her memory back? And now she's like, well, you took my baby, so I don't have any reason to be good now. So I'm just here to cause chaos. I'm here
Right.
to ruin your Parisian vacation. I'm here to I'm here to punish you. Unless you want to be in love with me, then we could go off in the sunset together. And then that's how he leaves, like run away to save Trina or some shit. And then they fall off a boat. I don't know, but like it was a very there was these points where I was like, you guys kind of wrote this like these people callously gave her baby away, and now they're going to Paris, and she's just supposed to live in her new reality without a baby.
It was wild. Like what?
But at the same time, and this is where like Nicholas Chavez, I'll give him the glory. He played it as if like I had to give that fucking baby away
Yeah.
and going to Paris.
Okay.
Like,
And please do not cancel me. Please. I know this this was really more about directing, I think, and like camera shots. But I know that there was a conversation. I'm definitely not getting into it. We're not going to get into this conversation on about. But I saw a little bit of a conversation about whether or not he should have choked her. Now, I would just say this: the way the camera angle did them, I was like, "Am I watching 50 Shades?" It like that's why I couldn't be upset about it or have a feeling about it because I was like, "What am I watching?" Now, this is really about direction of the actors. I know they had like stunt doubles and they had whatever. So I'm like, when people looked at this camera angle back, they didn't think that this looked weird. And to your point that you said about like the idea of choking, he couldn't do it hard. And that's why it looked that way. Because if you're choking someone, you're basically like ready to kill them, right?
mm-hmm.
Like choking is like a precursor for that. You're not choking someone who you're gonna let go. So I would have preferred to see him hit her against. So if you're lightly choking someone, or kind of,
Totally.
right? Because if you're somebody's choking you, you can't talk through it. Esme's giving whole threats and paragraphs.
For real. I
So
mean, if you're getting canceled, so am I, because I said that on Port Misery. I was like, it's giving. I thought you were gonna make out with her. Like,
that's what it. I mean, but that's also the only way it can look when you're kind of like lightly doing it because in
yeah,
order to like make it work on camera, you can't and like for it to be like acted you can't do it like any way but that. So what he should have done, or what they should have instructed him to do and directed him to do, is like take her arms or her shoulders against the door and
yeah,
like that way, because that looks more threatening than like the kind of gentle, like, you know what I mean? It was weird, and it really took me out of it, and I was like, what is going on? But this is
yeah,
like, yeah, this is another thing about that part being the lack of care and how the actors have to act through that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing where I was like, this is like, I think I tried it was like Nicholas not wanting to hurt Avery
Right,
essentially couldn't be as aggressive as you need to be. And that's to show you like when you watch like Hollywood films and you see men put their hands on women, they are really putting their hands on them. That is
right,
not, there is no way to simulate that in a way where you're not going to have handprints on yourself. And
right.
so, like, acting, there's a lot that goes into it. Like, it's not the craft where, like, anyone can do it. Cause, like,
No,
anyone can let somebody choke them and be, comfortable with that.
right.
And at the same time, and like you said, it's that's the director's job to know, like, well, we can't get a shot that looks aggressive enough for this. Let's restage it. Um, but yeah, I said the same thing. I was like, this is so weird. And like I said, the writing, like, why do you give her this many? Like, I feel uncomfortable having to agree with this sexual predator.
Exactly.
Like
And what's the
she,
point of giving the nuance on the way out?
they even let Laura say some stuff. Like, if they just hadn't taken her baby, none of this would have happened. I'm like, so is it Spencer's fault? Is it Spencer's fault he's in the water, Laura? Like, and this is the kind of stuff because my students are turning in an essay on Tuesday, and one of the tips I give them is like, do not contradict yourself. Go back, see what you wrote, see what your argument is, and make sure you are arguing that on every page. Like, think of yourself as a lawyer. Do not do the defense's job for them. Let them make their own case. You argue your case. And I feel like they never go back and they're like, well, we have decided that Spencer is correct in taking this host baby. And then they're like, absolutely, actually, no, he isn't. And we're going to have like 12 different characters argue how he isn't. And they're like, actually, he is because now she's hitting Kevin over the head and stealing money from Alexis and doing these things. They're like, cool. Okay. So she is a terrible mother. And then they're like, actually, no, she's not. She did all of that for her baby. And these two are just willfully obtuse about the things that, like, I mean, not even Trina's just like a accessory after the fact at this point,
Right.
but like just willfully obtuse about like what he has done and callously just flying off to Europe with his girlfriend after. It's just
Which,
what.
yes, Queen, I would do.
And I
You
know
deserve, she don't deserve nothing from you.
it's a thing where like they can't decide whose side they're on, and it's not just a problem with like the Spesme versus Sprina story. It's not a problem with that. It's a problem across the board. Like, they want
Yeah,
you to see everybody's goddamn point, and I'm like, no. When they wrote for Lisa Niles in 2008, there was never a point where you were supposed to see that whole side.
never.
Like, even though Patrick cheated on Robin, she was still crazy as hell.
Right.
And
She
so,
was
like,
there to be a spoiler for Scrubs, period.
yeah.
There's no
And
nuance
so,
here.
yeah. So, like, why are you out here trying to give Esme fucking and doing a good enough job to where I'm like, why are these bars? Like, why is she literally reading the shit out of Spencer? Like, sure, shit falls apart anytime Trina walks in the room.
Right.
But like with Spencer, I was like, how are you gonna refute this, Spencer? Like, because that's exactly what happened. You gave her baby to your deadbeat father and went to Paris.
Well, the other part of it is that they never knew what they were going to do with her. Like, I remember reading interviews from Avery, and they were like asking her, like, "What's your motivation for this? Why are you doing this?" She's like, "I don't know." Like, she had to, like, they never told her. So I know she was working with the acting coach lady who played Jennifer Smith, and NAC was too. And so they like came like part of the way that they worked together is that they came up with backstory on their own, but she never had a backstory from the writers. So it was like Kevin, Ryan sent her to do all this stuff, but then the sex tape and like the framing Trina wasn't like Ryan was like, why are you doing this? This was not the plan. So it's like they just never knew what they were doing with her, and that showed up. And it was a problem because Sprina is a couple that y'all are choosing to make like one of your signature show couples.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all have this other person who's a spoiler for them who you don't even know what you're doing with, who has no motivation, who has no, and because Avery's good, you want to keep her around. Like, no, should have brought her back as Tesme. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Trixie Christmas. I just love that name now. Uh, I mean, it's like they didn't learn from any, like they didn't learn from Nell, they didn't learn from Peter, they didn't learn from any of these characters. And like the only reason, and this is no, not, I mean, people can take it the way they want to take it. Some of these actors are way younger, not all of them, but like the only reason Cyrus Renault works is because Jeff Kober is a goddamn legend
Right,
and he makes that shit work.
right. Hmm.
And so, like, if certain characters, you have to be that level of good. Like and I cannot think of his name, and it's very disrespectful because he was a goddamn legend. The character, the actor who played Manny Ruiz back in the day,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's not and that man like made a career out of playing that type of character.
He was, ooh, I hated him so much. He made my skin crawl. He was really good.
Hmm.
Because like
And
that
so,
could have been corny. And that
yep.
could have been somebody like you have to be menacing. You have to be really good. And he was really good.
But I
Oof.
mean, can you imagine anyone besides Jeff Kober playing this like religious awakening?
Because when Cyrus showed up to Laura's house and was giving her that bullshit, he sounded really sincere.
Hmm.
Like he sounded like he was actually grieving for Spencer. So, I mean, and it also was like they remove him off canvas, they bring him back, they remove him, they bring him back. So his character has taken different forms. And I think the problem with Esme is I think that maybe they thought that locking her in the tower and then losing her memory was enough like retribution for what she did, but it's because they never understood how bad the cabin shit was. Never. They never understood how bad it was.
I also think, and this is not a knock to Avery, it's a 100% knock to the writers. What makes Cyrus so good is that you aren't sure if
Yeah.
he's sincere
Yeah.
because you're like he seems sincere, like he seems really sincere, but they've never told us if this is legit. And they had that moment where he like went to hell and met Devil Laura. Uh, Now he's using his Jesusness for evil. It's like you're not sure. Like
He's so good.
it's, where with Esme, they were like, well, she doesn't have a memory, so she's good now. And they're like, well, she has her memory back, so now she's not good. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like,
They gave her too much point of view for her to just have been a foil.
yeah, just for her to land back. And then even to the end, they were like, I have a point of view. I'm trying to get my baby back. I'm not a bad
Horrible.
person. I'm just complicated. Like,
Horrible.
I can check. I'm so good with needles that I can give like certain doses of things. And like I gave some to Spencer, and now I'm giving because she just stabbed him in the back. You think she would just push down on that plunger, but no, she was like,
Oh my God. All right, we've been talking about this forever, and we could talk for more just because there's so much to talk about with it. But you want to move on to the next one?
yes,
Sunny and Ava to shootout in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rican shootout.
So first of all, did I miss something? Because I didn't realize they were in danger in Port Charles.
They were okay, so they're not, and it's very weird.
Okay, please tell me.
So like Sunny was like, Ava, I gotta get you out of my house. I don't want you in my house anymore. I'm over it. And she's like, same. And then Brick came over and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do Brick stuff." And then they go to Charlie. And then he sees Nina and Valentine. And
Right.
he's like, "Girl, you're in danger. We gotta go to the island so I can not bang you." Uh, you know, because he's not gonna be cucked in his own relationship by friggin' Nina and Valentine. Like, if anyone's getting on, it's Nina. Like, absolutely not. He's still mad about the Charlie shit. And so it's definitely to be Nina getting cheated on. So he takes her to the island, yells at her a bunch because this is what I said about Ava. Like, Ava is super uncomfortable. She just wants to get drunk because she never knows how Sunny feels about her. Like, last time she was on that island, he tried to kill her.
That's true.
And then she was like, I'm pregnant with Avery. And now she's not, she doesn't even have a bulletproof baby to save her. So she's super nervous. Um,
Right. I was like, the last time y'all was here, this it's full circle. You got the baby here. Because the last time you were here, you were telling me you were pregnant with the baby.
yeah, he was like, I'm gonna kill you for killing Connie, even though we do not care about that. She was the OG Curtis Ashford. Um, Shot and we did not care.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
so so he was like, I care and I'm going to kill you. She was like, you can't because I'm having your baby or Morgan's baby, the soapiest thing that ever soap. Um,
Either
you're a
way,
new,
the babies are related to you.
yeah, your grandbaby or your baby. Um, and he was like, there's just a lie because he doesn't. Well, no, I guess Brick was like, perhaps the guy, and this came out of nowhere last week. Perhaps the guy who killed Austin and wants to buy Windermere is the guy who shot at Sunny, who hit Curtis. It's just the weirdest theory. And Sunny was like, run on that. And so that's why they're there. And then of course, them being shot at just confirmed that random out of left field theory that didn't make any sense.
Well, your theory that a lot of people share, your theory, because they said it was an inside job, somebody who knew the inner workings, that this is Jason.
It's Jason. It's Jason. And
So
that's why
here's
he wants Sunny, because he doesn't want to hit Sunny. He's hitting everybody but Sunny because he loves him
Mhm.
too much.
uh, so here's the thing. Here's so funny. I mean, I do love some Jason. Um, to be honest,
Ava, he's hitting Austin, he's hitting Curtis, but he can't hit Sunny.
can't hit Bay.
Mm.
I have said multiple occasions that Sunny doesn't work without Jason, and I mean that. He just doesn't. Um, so here's my part of the theory. So Steve Burton starts filming next week. I have and like the rumblings around Chris and Dan was that they like the what they wrote for Jason's return was like really bad, and that was like the last straw. This is all rumors, who knows? But that timeline kind of does line up because whatever Steve is walking into has been written by Liz and Pat, who is what I'm calling the new writers, Elizabeth and Patrick, Liz and Pat. Like I know them.
There's no
So,
Chris and
so I, I do wonder if it is Jason or if the plan was set up for it to be Jason and it'd be, whatever. But we'll see.
it'll end up being Cyrus again and his holy rollers. Just has like soldiers for the Lord shooting
Amen.
at Sunny, hitting everyone but him. Because
Amen.
Sunny also is protected by the Lord.
He did tell him he was like, I'm a believer, but I'm not a saint. So he was like, me too.
That's like when like the people come in like she's not a Maurice Stan. I'm wearing my Corinthos coffee hoodie. I would be drinking out of my Corinthos coffee mug, but I'm drinking wine, which is why I'm getting progressively more chaotic.
I'm having a smoothie. This is my dinner. Anyway, it's been a mess all day, but I'm trying to be on my health stuff. So send me encouragement. Thumbs up. Um, because I hate it, but here we are. Um, yeah, Sunny, Ava. I was not thinking they were gonna bang. I was like, y'all are just saying something. No, they're not. But when Nina told him or told Ava, I'm so glad y'all have each other, I said, oh, they're gonna bang.
That's like Ava's favorite pastime, banging Nina's husband. So she forgot. She forgot back in the day. She loved banging Nina's husband, Silas Clay. And she's already banged Nina's current husband. So
So the bang,
the
bang,
Carson
bangity bang.
destruction cycle. I tried to warn people. They did not want to listen. I was like, we just don't need to do this. We just keep Carson together because they're gonna come back. And so it's like a boomerang. They're gonna come back. But no, we have to play these games. So next is Sunny Bang the Rando, baby mama. It's Ava.
He said, I gotta keep it in the family. Sonny said, I
Hmm.
don't want my body count going up.
And
Well,
then
and
eventually they recast Brenda with Lindsay Hartley and we redo that.
stop it. Stop it. Um, I can't even deal with that. Also, I laughed when Sonny walked in and saw Nina and the look he gave, it made my heart happy. I was very
I
happy
can't do
about it.
this. I can't do this. She was like, I didn't mean to make it hard for you. Their segment on Port Misery is called Nina Ruined Sunny's Day.
Ooh.
Love it. I love it.
Well, speaking of ruining Nina's day, Crimson, Carly in charge of Crimson, they cast a lady to have sympathy for Nina.
They didn't just cast a lady, they created a whole new newspaper.
Oh yeah.
The hell is she work? She does not work for Alexis and she does not work for Drew.
Well, and it's also interesting because to have a be to your point, Drew is in charge of Aurora, so to have a competing paper write an article that's like essentially slamming him is pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. Because he has the Port Charles Press, Alexis has the Invader, and she's from random off-screen newspaper that we just created to write a story for Nina. And I'm like, why couldn't she just work for the Invader? I can't see Car or Alexis giving a shit about Carly going or Drew going to jail like that. She'd just be like, look, this is person. Like, why do you put Carly in charge? That's ridiculous.
Alexis loves Drew.
She would, but she would still write a news. She'd be like, I'm a newspaper editor. This is nothing personal, Drew. I'm trying to figure out. This is that hoe.
No, I don't think Alexis would do that.
I think she would, and it'd be funner if she did. Like they need to let people be
That would be
fun,
funner for sure. Funner, more fun, more fun.
more fun. What? I'm not an English major. I can use whatever language I want. I made up a word, and my advisor was like, I think that word works. I don't think it's a real word, but I think it works for what you're trying to do, so you should keep it.
Boom.
Yeah,
That's how bosses
but
move. Um, so made up a new person and newspaper to have sympathy for Nina.
mhm.
Um, Carly and Tracy showdown.
She called her innkeeper. Loved it.
I cried laughing.
And Carly gamed her. That was the funny part in the end. She was like, "Cool, you gonna sign this contract? That's all we agreed to." She was
Because
like,
he,
"What?"
because the thing about Carly running Crimson is not about the business pieces of it. Carly is smart and resourceful. So like she will be able like lawyers, whoever will like help her do all of that. The question is whether she has like fashion sense.
Hmm.
That's the question. So
Yeah,
I loved Maxie like low-key reading Nina. When Carly called Nina, what she call her, a baby stealing psycho?
yeah. She called her a baby stealing psycho who Julian Jerome hired to take the place.
And I appreciated Maxie being like, I want to say no, but
That's exactly what happened.
and let me also back this up about especially with Maxie because Maxie reminds me about the family that Nina does have. So Nina was like talking to Ava, and she's like, "Well, if I lose this person or that person, if I lose Willow, if I lose Wiley, I won't have anything." I'm like, "Well, one, you have a hotel. That's one. But two, like, you have this whole other family that loves you.
Yeah,
You
you
have
have Lisa.
Sasha, you have Liesel, you have Maxie, you have James, you have all of this family. Like this is what frustrates me about the character of Nina and the things they write for her to say. She is one of the most like protected and supported characters on the show.
It was also crazy for her to say it to Ava because literally all Ava has is Avery in her gallery.
Yep.
Trina, I guess. But like Sunny, like he is. I made a whole section of my podcast dedicated to how she can't trust Sunny. He's chaotic. He could turn on her in a dime.
Yeah.
Fuck her being the mother of his child. Like that's not doesn't have her back. Like she is so isolated, and like Nina has all these people, and plus like she was saying she can't lose Sunny because if she loses Sunny, then she's gonna lose Willow and Wiley
So
and Evie. And I'm
weird.
like, I don't understand why all these people have to be between you and your relationships. Like you have to get rid of Carly by sending her to prison so you can have a relationship with Willow, Wiley, and Amelia. You have to be with Sunny and be on his arm so you can have a relationship with Wiley, and Amelia. Why can't you just have a relationship with these people on your own and not worry about Sunny and Carly? Like that's the issue is that you keep assuming that you need all these other people to either be near you or be away from you to have a relationship with this grown ass woman, as opposed to just trying to have a relationship with her. Like,
Right.
have you tried that?
Right. No, I agree with you. It is very bizarre, this like idea that she keeps saying, like, I have to, like her saying that she has nobody. And the other thing about Ava is that Sonny doesn't know that Ava knew about Nina. I mean, he might assume, but he doesn't know that she knew that Nina turned in Carly.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of stuff that these, to your point, these are the precarious relationships that Ava has versus Nina. But because Nina constantly whines about it, that's why people have sympathy for her.
Yeah.
Whereas
So
to Ava does not.
yeah, they could throw Ava away any second. Every single person on the campus. She has no direct connection to anyone in Port Charles except Avery.
Yep.
Sam don't claim her.
Yep.
So she can't go to Sam. They could easily change that and rewrite that. But
Sure.
as of right now, she don't have no claim to Sam. She could barely see Leo.
Hmm.
And those are her only blood relatives in town.
Leo is closer to Sunny than to Ava. And
Mm-hmm.
Sunny killed Leo's biological father.
That part. And
It
so it's this the way she talks to Ava is like you are very lucky to have Ava because if you were talking to me like that and I was in Ava's position, I would tell you to get the fuck out of your husband's house. Well,
well, also we so that is my, I mean, I try not to like look at or like respond to like the things, but that's the thing that's like makes it really frustrating for me around people who have so much to say about defending Nina. Because I'm like, I think that because the people who don't like Nina are on so much, and because like what we see is like like we see the kind of things that come against her, it we end up like thinking that she has it worse than other characters when she doesn't. Like
mm-hmm.
when she was saying something, what try to see if I can remember where it is. Um, she was talking to Ava, she said, "You don't judge me and you don't punish me for my choices." What? So basically, you're thanking her for allowing her, like, just allowing you to do anything and not
And
having
not
anything to say about it.
yeah, not checking you.
And not being mad at you when you like you haven't run roughshod over Ava's life since you snatched her baby out of her snatch. So that's why. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
a really interesting. So now we have Drew, angry Drew, who
His
was
whole
going to
life purpose is to destroy Nina. It's wild.
and he tried to like basically tell Michael like let me you have two options. Like it was just so weird. So anyway, Michael's staying at Crimson. And he told Drew that he cannot help him go after Nina. And Drew was like, great, that's why you're gonna stay here.
Mhm.
Um, I I'm interested to see if this flips because Carly seems to not care about Nina and going after Nina anymore. She's like, I'm good, I'm done. So Drew is just it's not interesting to me. And it doesn't connect to him as a character. It's not interesting. I don't like it. I don't care about it. I
I,
don't.
it's something to do for me. Like that's how I take it. Is like, okay, well, it's something for you to do because like what you were doing before was just being like a life coach and like a game show host and like, ooh, everything's fine. Look on the good foot, whatever. But like now that you've gone to jail for 2 months and got beat in the shower, now you're like, my life's purpose is to destroy Nina. That is what I do now. And so, like, for me, as someone who hates Nina, I'm like, all right, I'm mildly entertained. And that is not a sustainable character attribute. Um, there's
Yeah.
just like nothing about your daughter, nothing about your family, nothing about because like even when he was talking about I am your family too, Michael, and I'm like, are you? Not the same way as Sonny, like, you know, and they share DNA, and so, but I was just like, well, it's Sonny, like that man raised him. Of course he's gonna
I'm
let
like, do they share
you.
DNA? I
Yeah,
get it. Yeah, I get it.
Alan. That's Alan's grandson. Because I always say I love Tracy because she doesn't care about Alan's son nor his grandson. And so, yeah, it's a weird way to be. And then to have Carly be so like, well, now that I have her magazine and I got to see her face crack sitting in her office, like the time she saw my face crack when she came into mine. We're good. We're even. It's not the first time I lost Sonny, and I'll get him back eventually. He always comes back.
Right.
So,
See my face crack when I walked in on them having sex.
hmm and like I can see her face crack again at our sixth wedding. So they've had 5 weddings. They've only been married 4 times, but they've had 5 weddings. So yeah, I could watch her face crack at our sixth wedding. So I don't need to bang him again. Let Ava do that. I just want her job. And she didn't even want it, right? She didn't even want it. Drew is just like strong armed her and taking it. He's like, yeah, I need you to take it because I want that bitch sad every day. And so I need you in this office making her sad. When she thinks about Crimson, I want her to picture you, you know, changing all the passwords to Nina sucks.
Explanation point. Explanation point.
I just like that it's
Sucks with the
super.
dollar sign.
Yeah. And then there seems like, oh, let him be petty until we have to off him. And then he goes back to work on his off brand Pillsbury Bake Off
Well,
movie.
he's not going back to that. I just
Oh
saw something because I'm into those movies. And so I just saw Ali Sweetie post something because that character, his character is recast. He's working with that homophobic
yeah,
uh
Great
network.
America
Yeah.
or whatever. So
Boo.
he's going to make off-brand, Duncan Hines uh Bake Off film.
He's about
So
to go make off-brand Chick-fil-A. Like that's what he's
mhm,
doing.
he's greater value brand.
What
So
well, speaking of Nina, so we can stop speaking of Nina, Lois and Olivia have reconciled
on her back,
on her
love.
back.
Nina was so funny because they come into Olivia's office because she just lives in Olivia's office. Girl, like, where is your office? What is
She
happening?
said it was getting
Why are
redone or something, repainted or something.
okay? Yeah. Okay, girl. But like they start arguing, and like Olivia's like, "You ruined lives. Look at all the lives you ruined. What's wrong with you, Lois?" And like Nina is she's just that dumb girl. She's that dumb girl who thinks like, "I'm gonna jump in on this." She's like, "Yeah, Lois, you're out here ruining lives." And Olivia's like, "Shut the fuck up, bitch."
But you know what? That's the energy, right? Because I'm arguing with my friend, my lifelong friend, and then you go jump in it. Girl, we're not talking to you. And I had completely forgot about the whole New York beef. So you got the Brooklyn girls coming for her. I cracked up. You know what? Nina also made me laugh when she was like looking behind the paper.
Yeah, she
So,
was making calculations. She was like, "Can I jump in on this? Like, are we about to? Are she was doing that Step Brothers, like her and Olivia? Like, are we becoming besties?" Olivia was like, "Bitch, no, we're not." I was like,
she was like, we could never. No, that was it was I cracked up when they left out and Lois was like,
like, "So you trying to steal my bestie like you stole Carly's band? I see you."
wait, because what did Lois call her? Oh, I wish I would have saw it, but it was like a home wrecking something something.
Like a home
I
wrecking snitch or some shit like that.
it was amazing. And the thing about it, and the thing that made it so funny is that Lois don't even like Carly.
No, but if you're hearing that shit from the outside, Nina sounds fucking insane. And
Insane.
I like that you had that one person being like, "I'm not in Port Charles. I haven't drank this dirty town water." That shit is objectively insane. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I kept waiting and asking people what Carly did, and they said she didn't do shit. And I was like, damn.
Lois is like, I wanted to say F Carly. Like, because the thing about it is she probably would have been friends with Nina as Sonny's
Mm-hmm,
wife if she would have done like some mess. And that's the thing that always like even Nina like it's just like the repetitive nature of they committed a crime. Yes, sure. But you just paid for Cyrus to not turn Sonny in. So you don't care about crime. What are we saying here? And I just
wild.
appreciate them being like, you're married to Sonny. Let's
Okay.
put this excuse to rest. The rest of the town don't even care about what you did. It is the people who are directly connected to the people that you harmed. And Sonny
Mm-hmm.
is a person that you harmed. You was about to put his baby mama in jail because you were mad.
Yeah. You did put Drew in jail. That's why, like, I'm not gonna be upset at him going this hard at her.
I'm not
Like,
upset, it's just boring.
yeah, it's definitely boring, but there are some people like, why is he so mad? Why is she allowed to, like, according to y'all, why is she allowed to run around acting like this and everybody's just supposed to accept it and accept her braggedy apology?
And P.S. Drew actually didn't commit a crime.
No.
Drew took the blame because he thought he was gonna go to spy jail,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't commit a crime.
No, not at all.
So
But
anyway, speaking of Olivia, we got the ChaLynn wedding. She was planning Coney Island's finest. Brooklyn said, Mom, I'm rich. Okay.
I'm an
Yo,
ass.
Q, and the Q stands for Quartermain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to have champagne toast and caviar, not corn dogs.
I was a mess. It was, and I love that she was like, grandmother, what the hell? This was your role in this wedding to make sure my mom didn't do this type of shit. And she's like, well, maybe you talk to your mom. No, she's a single mom, one daughter, we're getting judged. You have to do it. And she literally came in and was like, we not doing any of that clown shit on the wedding day. We could do that clown shit the day before.
And we're gonna get private jets. Everybody getting flued out in a PJ. And I
That
said, you
was,
know what?
listen, that wasn't even Tracy. That was Lois just spending Tracy's money.
I
Because
loved it.
Tracy was like buses and Lois was like jet.
Buses.
And so I wonder what they do because I cannot imagine them flying this cast to Coney Island. So I'm like, how do we build Coney Island at Prospect Studio? Or do they do the crustiest thing, which is go to crusty ass Santa Monica Pier that looks absolutely like nothing like Coney Island at all? Please, 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 everybody, before this shit goes down, Google the Santa Monica Pier and memorize what it looks like. Because if we end up at a pier, just be aware that that's where it is. We're gonna
It'll
be.
probably be like a picture of or like a video of Coney Island, and then like people will be indoors somewhere. Like you remember when it was like during the pandemic, and Spencer did the party for Trina at Windermere, and it was just like the little cast inside, and
In a photo booth.
everybody else is supposed to be outside. That'll
Yeah, they
probably
were
be
in a
what it is.
photo booth, and then Trina and Spencer had a moment on the parapet, and then Esme popped out like, "I'm here," and we were like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, I was so mad. I was
I
like,
have never been more mad. I said, "What?" Yeah. Anyway, so I'm excited for their wedding. I think they're super cute. I love what they bring together. I also love that Tracy is everywhere in all the stories. More of this. Jane Elliott, absolutely. Let's do it.
she's the best grandmother. Tracy in her grandma era is like peak Tracy because
Yeah.
she fucking loves her grandchildren. She's like, my grandchildren get whatever they want. My granddaughter wants a classy wedding, done. My grandson wants like a camel, done. Like,
Yeah.
I can see her getting Leo. Speaking of, why the fuck was Leo calling himself Leo Falconeri?
I was so confused by that. I thought he was like a quarterback.
He is Leo Quartermain. Like, Dad adopted him.
Yeah.
This is not even like a Liz situation where every one of her boys takes her husband's name until he like randomly disappears and they go back to being Liz Weber. Um, I felt
Leo
like
was so cute
he
during
was.
the Carly Carly Olivia reconciliation.
Mhm.
Olivia got both her friends back this week.
She did.
Um, Leo, oh, what a precious little angel. He's so sweet.
It was like they're fighting. We're all animals.
Oh, so cute. Um, oh yeah. Ugh. Adam and fake Joss. It's over, and I'm so happy about it. Um, yeah, I'm very happy it's over. And Adam's out. So
Who knew that changing your major solves your deep seated emotional issues?
I think um that the idea of unaliving yourself is very, very serious, and it's a serious topic that should be handled delicately and with care. And this was not. Everything from the Sudafed to the like hospital stay to the dad to this idea that it's like I went from being in this desperate situation where I didn't want to live anymore to give me my guitar, I'm gonna change my major, now I'm good. It was all I have to say is that it was not handled delicately, and that's why Chris and Dan got fired.
That part. On Port Misery, just a preview. I think I spent the entire recap of that story giving the dad different names of abusive men in Hollywood. I was
He
just
was
like, they were out here treating him. Because, like, that's the thing is that, like, Felicia and Jocelyn are having this conversation like he's Joe Jackson. They're like, you can't. Like, can never underestimate the hold a parent has over a child. And like at a certain point, I was like, why are they talking like he's Ike Turner? I don't understand. Like we haven't seen him enough. We've only seen him twice.
it
And
was
you're saying
weird.
like he's Michael Lohan. It was wild. I was like, what is happening here? Like,
I also, here's the other thing, and this is all I'll have to say about it. And then, if you have more to say, we have basically no young adult scene. We have Trina, Jocelyn, and then if you stretch it, Dex, only because he's dating Joss. If when people have story, it should be to build them. It shouldn't just be let's have this drop in the bucket story and then it's over. It should be connected to something bigger. So I will reserve judgment for what it connects to bigger. Maybe this changes something for Joss, but it doesn't look like it. And so it was a waste of story that wasn't good, that rehabbed someone who had sexually harassed Jocelyn
mhm.
into a story that was insensitive to tell in the first place. It
I
sucked.
mean, yeah. But at least it's done. That's what I was like, okay, well, it's finished. So goodbye.
Bye.
Like, I'm glad that it worked out for you, kid. Go play your guitar in the off-screen extended universe.
I wanna push you around.
Yeah, I mean, he was deep Matchbox 20 energy, but I mean,
Because you were saying Wonderwall. I was like, he's not cool enough for Wonderwall. It's
I mean,
definitely Ken on the beach.
every freaking guy in college at some point learns Wonderwall on the guitar. I'm not sure if it's just a very easy thing to learn, but I've just heard it so many times, including recently.
Mhm.
I was like, okay.
I was on vacation. Not vacation. I went, but I was in why do I forget where I was at Southern California, walking on the beach because my hotel was on the beach, and somebody was playing the guitar, playing Wonderwall, and I looked at him and I just laughed, and I was gonna film him, but I was like, I actually don't believe in filming people to laugh at them, but I was
Hmm.
gonna send it to you.
I mean,
Just
that's just you sending me things like now every time I hear Wonderwall, I think of you. Like, and that's how I feel about my friend Chloe because
my
she's the
God.
one who said it. It's
Well,
like some fucking guy playing Wonderwall, and then all of a sudden there was a guy playing Wonderwall down beneath us. We were on a balcony. It was amazing.
I think of Jay-Z, um, because the dude from Oasis was like he shouldn't play the I forget, it, the big thing in London, like the big
Oh,
arena.
Glastonbury
Yeah,
or
yeah. He didn't want him. He was like, he shouldn't play there because he's a rapper. And then Jay-Z played it and then like got a guitar and started playing it Wonderwall. And the whole crowd like sang it. I'll send you
I'm
the
dead.
video. It's one of my favorite petty moments. Sagittarius shit. Um, um also wrapped up, Finn's malpractice suit.
He succeeded in trashing this man beyond the grave. It's amazing. He was like, I want
So
his wife and his kids to know that he was fucking trash. Like, how dare he?
so we find out that Dennis Muldoon knew he had cancer and then went to Finn
Performer of the week.
performer of the week. Dennis Muldoon went, went to Finn knowing he had cancer to set him up for this lawsuit.
Yeah,
Apparently, his wife didn't know. Um, so Tracy paid her off. That Finn, that the writers want us to know he's a good guy. So Finn obviously was a nice guy to this woman. They had a moment. It was over.
he it's really crazy to me because I'm like, you could have called Sam months and months and months and months and months ago and found out this man was broke. And Tracy could have paid this woman off months and months and months and months and months ago, and we didn't have to do any of this.
No, but
So
then how would you know that Finn's a good guy?
where's my compensation for my emotional distress for having to see this?
How
Because
would you know Finn's a good guy that Liz has to prop?
Liz said it a bunch of times, and then she licked maple syrup off of his finger. Yeah, that happened. And so that was all I needed. I was like, cool. Like they had Violet say it a bunch of times.
Ugh, my
Really
God.
had this man from
Why would you
beyond.
say that?
They had a man from beyond the grave come to try to destroy Hamilton Finn. Like this is a Scooby Doo episode. It was wild. And then the wife was just like, even though my husband lied to me up until the day he died and pretty much made a fool out of me because now I'm in court with this
Mhm.
lie, I want you to know that he was a really good guy, just like you, Finn.
Um, that's over. It's done. It's such a stupid ass story. God. And
And then
finally, oh,
it
go ahead.
ends with Jeremy and Tracy giving eyes at each other. Like, how did they fall in love so quickly? Because he's about to risk it all for her.
I'm over it. I didn't want to talk about it. I would like to pretend it's not happening.
It's embarrassing for Alexis because he definitely friend zoned Alexis. He was like, "Nah, girl, I'm dying. I can't be with you." But he's gonna risk it all for Tracy. Tracy's milkshakes bringing all the boys, bringing the non-mobster affiliated boys to the yard. Finally, it's amazing.
Ah,
I'm done talking.
so last story I have, Jordana, Jordan and Anna out here doing their thing this week. Um, we had them go visit Brennan in jail. Um, I appreciated our friend of the show, Jen, tweeting, "Free my man, all he did is flirt."
Why
And
is he
Laura
in Pennsylvania? Why is he in Pennsylvania? Why is the former director of the WSB
in
in
Bentonville.
Pennsylvania? Why is he not at The Hague? Isn't that where Anna's always threatening to send people to like the World Court that doesn't do anything that's technically an illegitimate body, but no one wants to talk about that? I hope I teach world history this next quarter. We're gonna talk about it. Like, let's talk
You about
about
to
it. Let's talk
trash The
about the
Hague?
right? We're trashing the
I'm just
UN. We're trashing NATO. We're trashing.
like, this is very Black Bush of you. The UN? Got no army? Anyway.
Don't
So, but
go
yeah,
sell medicine, bitches. Chaos episode.
okay. Okay. If y'all have not, I do not subscribe to Dave Chappelle anymore. Because fuck that transphobia bullshit. But the Black Bush episode of the Chappelle show,
I use it
still
as
top tier.
yeah, I use it as a teaching tool, so it's educational. If it makes you feel better. Um, but yes, okay. Anna and Jordan are talking to international terrorists, weapons manufacturers, stuff like that. Whoever slash spy organization heads. They're
Mhm.
buying illegal weapons. What they're not doing, they're not running Port Charles. Who the hell is running Port Charles this week? This is the first question I have at Port Misery. Like, Laura's in Paris, Dante's in Paris, Chase is planning a wedding, Sunny's in Puerto Rico, like Mac is in Argentina
I
of all
love that
places.
Sunday is an option. Please continue.
and,
Jordan is being fine.
Jordan is buying illegal weapons with Anna somewhere in Port Charles. No one is. How are people getting like driver's license? Like, how are people getting like permits? Like, who's running this town? Bugs me so much.
Oh god. Yeah. Anyway, it all ends with us finding out, dun dun dun, Jagger is back and an FBI agent.
Yeah, and he's going by John now.
John Jagger Cates. Tara, you watched when he was on. I knew him from Night Shift when he was Antonio Sabato Jr., which we'll talk about later. But would you give people a rundown on who Jagger is?
Okay, so Jagger was like the heartthrob of the early 90s, and he was in this love triangle with Brenda Barrett, who we know very well, and Karen Wexler, who you might know if you watched back in the day. She was played by Carrie Shane, very basic. No shade to Carrie Shane. It was just like a weird, that was the look back then, that basic white girl with a scrunchie. And so I'm sorry. Jagger was a box, and he had left basic scrunchy ass Karen for Brenda. They're living in above Kelly's, as one does. Sonny comes to town as like a friend of Stone Cates, who is Jagger's younger brother. It's very important.
Stone of
Um,
Robin and Stone.
yeah, Stone and Robin, yes. Stone Kate, Jagger Kate. Sonny comes to town, immediately puts scrunchy ass Karen on the pole, and starts making Jagger throw fights because Sonny is just like super chaotic when he first comes. He eventually gets arrested for putting underage girls on a pole because you shouldn't do that. He's like, I should not have done that. And eventually
My
joins the mob.
bad.
Yeah, he really was. He also gave her pills. We cannot get into this, but Jagger and Scrunchy Karen get back together. Brenda ends up getting with Sunny. And Jagger and Karen go to Chicago so Karen can become a doctor and Jagger can join the Chicago PD. And that is usually where people pick up. Like, obviously, Karen comes back to Port Charles when she's on the show Port Charles in the late 90s, early 2000s. Then she gets thrown in front of a car, which is still one of the funniest stories in soap history. That's how she got taken out. Scott still somehow blames Sunny, even though he didn't throw her in front of the car. He just threw her on a pole, but like literally
Good night.
12 years earlier. Um, but still his fault. Jagger comes back in 2008, 2009 for Night Shift, and then we send him away. And now he's back as a blonde man with a whole new face, and he's an
Hmm.
FBI agent. And I would assume he still hates Sunny for putting the mother of his child on the pole. So I am super excited for this. This could be,
Me
and
too.
it's super funny to think that like Antonio Sabato Jr. like told Frank to go fuck himself, and then Frank was like, "Bet," and found and walking on the street like, "You want to be Jagger Kate?" Uh,
Well, I know this man. He has a lot of credits, actually. When I first saw him, I was like, oh my God, that's the guy from Parks and Rec. That was my very first thought. He was, if you watch Parks and Rec, like me, when Ben Wyatt went to DC to run the congressional campaign, that was the candidate who would power down. Anyway,
mm,
deep cut.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure he has like lots of credits. I just mean he found like a random person without considering characterization or what the character should or did look like. He was just like, "You want to play this character? I need to put this character on the show right now to let bitches know that I run this soap and not them." And I love that.
It's giving Billy Warlock and Sean Kanan.
Yeah,
Like, that's what it's giving. Um,
deep, deep in his like Gloria Monty era. And I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I love it for him.
yeah, so he caught Anna and Jordan buying the illegal weapons, and
We were arresting everybody. Everyone straight to jail.
and he was like, Anna, you don't recognize me?
Of course
Sir?
not.
Who the hell is that?
No.
But
I was like, wait, did I mean I remembered that it took me forever to remember that Anna met Jagger on
night
freaking Night
shift.
Shift. I was like,
Hmm.
you were definitely blown up on a ship.
Right,
That like, and
right.
I was like, yeah, 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 okay,
Night shift, night shift.
yeah.
Um, so Antonio Sabato Jr. is very upset about it. He put up an Instagram that dance. He put up an Instagram video that's about 10 minutes. I made it about 3 minutes in. He is very upset. he
Good.
believes that he made this character. This character is a part of him. That that Disney's why you laugh? I was gonna get through it. Disney is salty at him, and ABC is salty at him because he is conservative. Um, but he doesn't talk about politics on set. So he's very he's mad. He's big mad. And um
Oh,
I'm like,
Frank.
bro, use this character for a total of 3 years over 20 over like 30 years. Okay. Cool.
Frank, do Jack's next. Jasper Jack's next. Who else can we bring back?
Oh goodness. I love it.
Anybody. It does not matter. Like, bring back as a redhead. Like, bring him back. Someone put a picture of Boris Kojo. Bring Boris on as Jack.
Bring him on and let him have a crush on Terry. You bitch.
Bring Boris. Like, I do not care. Because I saw people who were like, oh, well, he doesn't look like Jagger. And I'm like, I do not care. Like,
Nobody cares. Who
this
cares?
is
It's been so long that there are people who watch the show who I was there. I didn't watch the main show when Jagger was on. I knew Jagger from Night Shift.
I mean, if you didn't watch Night Shift or early GH, you wouldn't, the name Jagger wouldn't mean anything to you right away anyway. You would still need the background. You would still need it. Didn't matter if it was Antonio Sabato Jr. playing him or not. So
Right.
this whole like idea, like, well, I'm just so taken out. First of all, like I get that. Like I can see how people be taken out because yada yada yada. I'm just so deep in the petty of it all, like of just casting someone who looks nothing like Antonio Sabato Jr. just to let him know that he doesn't matter. Um, I love it.
Bye.
And like it's funny because it's him. Maybe like Sean Keenan didn't deserve that. So I get if you're like an AJ fan and you're like, oh, well, I was just a really big fan of Sean.
An
People were throwing
AJ
Sean.
fan.
Yeah, apparently they're out there.
Oh.
But people were bringing him up, and I'm like, okay, I get that. And they didn't do anything different with AJ's character with Billy Warlock than they were doing with Sean Keenan. Like y'all can keep telling yourself that, but like he was a drunk when he was Sean Keenan. He was a drunk when he was Billy Warlock. He was useless ass piece of shit when he was Sean Keenan. He was a useless ass piece of shit when he was character. Like, and this is not just me being a Corinthos stand. This is from the mouth of Edward Quartermain. So, like,
Oh God. Not any AJ fans over here. Well, let's talk about in and out. So there's a lot of ins and outs and a lot of happening on the canvas. So out, Adam out, Spencer out, Esme out. All these people off the canvas, stories wrapped up for now. Doors clearly open for all of them to come back.
yeah, no one took
Um,
it to the face.
huh,
No one took a bullet to the face or anything like that. No
right.
Julie and Jerome deaths where we have like their bodies. It's like,
Eh,
Faison's brain is in a jar. So,
right. Um, and obviously Jagger. We also know Cameron Weber is coming back for the memorial. I'm looking forward to seeing William. I like William. And I do hope that Trina, Cameron, and Joss have some conversation about their like shared loss because those kids have lost a lot.
he
A
made
lot
it
of
back.
people. Hmm,
Made it back for Spencer's non-death, but not Bobby's real death. Okay, that's all I had to say.
yeah. I do hope that we get a lot of him. I hope he goes by Bobby's. I hope I do hope we get like some good stuff with him. I don't know how long he's gonna be on. That's not reported. It's not a reported length. Because they did say when he left that he was gonna be back. I think a lot of us thought he was gonna be back before this, but he's out here. He got school. He also has his band. Looks like he's living his best life from Instagram. I'm always cheering on the young adult scene. So I am happy to see him back. And obviously, like I said, Jason is on his way back and he starts shooting next week.
Big Bang Bosh.
Yep, yep, yep. The other thing that was it's kind of big news, Daytime Emmys taking out the younger adult category.
Oh yeah, that's weird.
They made all of those changes to it without being clear that they were changing it to like end it. And I think that that's really unfortunate. There are like people like I always call that like the Jonathan Jackson Award because as Lucky he ran that award up until I think it went to like it was like up to 30 at one point, and then it was up to 25, and they like rolled it back to 21 and then rolled it back to 18. And so it did like when Eden won was like a weird category because it wasn't that many people who qualified for it, but there would have been if they would have kept it at like a 21, for example. So I'm not sure why they did that. And I hate that they did that because there are really talented young people that I would love to see awarded who shouldn't have to go up against like Robert Goss. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it should
um,
be like a floating award that if you have enough performances, that one it should potentially be taken younger than like because I think the issue is that like there are certain actors like from a young age who can hold their own with the vets and the older people and like if you have like an 18, 19-year old take out a gaggle of like 30 plus year old veterans and like that just goes to show the caliber of actor that's in daytime today. So it's not a bad thing to knock these seasoned people out when it comes to award shows. But like you're never gonna have a 10-year-old do that, or that's a very rare sort of thing. And so I think like it should potentially be like a rolling category where if you have like three or four kids under the age of maybe like 16, you can bring the award back out, but kind of just like eliminating it and asking like the kids who play like Adam's son on Young and the Restless, or the like kids on Bold and the Beautiful, or if they actually start giving like Chad's kids more meaty stuff again, or
mhm.
maybe
It was
even like
young, like 17, 18-year-olds on days who just had a really big story too.
yeah, it's just it's a weird situation, and I mean I don't think we've ever had it on in a podcast, but like we've talked about this a bunch. Like awards in and of themselves need to rethink their function and what they're about because like the age thing, like I think it's something we deal with in daytime because there's more children involved in daytime. It's more of a serial
Hmm.
format. Like there's families and continuity. But like if you look in prime time, like they're dealing with gender
Right. Yeah, we talked
about
about that.
yeah, they have like a lot of people who just do not identify as a man or a woman having to enter actor and actress categories and like it brings this like more relevant conversation about the utility of awards anyway and who they're for.
Right. Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
think that like maybe back in the day when you didn't have like so many ways to promote yourself and like be out there, you needed the award to like as sort of like recognition, like okay, I am good, the industry sees me as good, my peers see me as good, something to put on like a CV or like when you audition.
Mhm.
Nowadays, like you have so many ways to, like put yourself out there and do a bunch of stuff. Like I wonder what the award is for. Like I actually understand awards for like producers and directors more than I understand them for actors nowadays. Because like for producing and directing, it's mostly about getting money. And so like if you are winning best soap, like that's about Frank keeping his job. Like I can produce a good soap and I can keep it under budget and Disney can be happy with me. If you're a director, it's about showing, a studio that you can direct a film, keep to a budget, get people's butts in the seats, and put out good performances. Like as an actor, I'm not really sure what awards do besides like just sort of everybody high fiving each other. Like high five.
I
Um,
think I disagree with that in a lot of ways, but I see what you're saying. But I mean, people like to be recognized by their peers. Like that is like to be able to say, no, I don't necessarily think that that's what the award does, in my opinion, but it's for them that it does. And it's also like, and nobody's gonna watch an Emmys of directors and writers.
no, I
Like
mean,
you want to do the people that you know.
but I wouldn't want them to film it anymore. Like you don't film the creative Emmy. You don't film the creative Oscars. Those aren't televised. Those are award shows for peers, for people. Like I think that they need to rethink the award shows because the Emmys on television is not for the actors. It's for the people producing the Emmys to like show ads. Like it's not so like you don't have to throw away award shows. I just think they need to rethink what they're for, rethink who they're for, and like if they are about industry standards or like even just rewarding each other's peers, like then this shouldn't even be such a big decision anyway, where we're like, we gotta throw away categories or we gotta rethink the categories or we have to just give each other awards, like, like kids playing soccer and like everyone gets a participation trophy.
Well, I think that like actors would disagree. I mean, I do think that things need to be rethought. I definitely think that, especially around gender, because as more people come up, we're going to have more of that. So, like Bella Ramsey, for example, for Last of Us, in the like primetime Emmys, entered under actress, but they're non-binary. There
Mhm.
was somebody from Yellow Jackets who like a year ago or 2 years ago who didn't enter because they were non-binary. They said that they didn't want to be in a gendered category. So I think that there is something around that, but I think the awards of it all, like people love that. It's a time to get together. It's like the whole season for them. It is around like buzz around your like movie, and it's about marketing yourself. I think there are big conversations to have. Like for example, when Black women win like Oscars, they become less marketable in some ways. So I think that those things are interesting, but I think actors would feel away if you pulled away the way they said they were good.
Yeah, I know. I just don't care about actors. I think that's what's happening. Like, grow up. But I'm sorry. But
I see, I care about actors, and so that's the difference.
yeah. Yeah, and that's always gonna be the thing. I think that, for me, I was less jarred by it because I'm like, well, this whole system is kind of rigged. This was a way for y'all to not allow Hollywood to unionize anyway, and it's just continuing on 120 years later. So, um, but sure, if people love it, keep it going. But how are the kiddos gonna perform?
Yeah, and there's no incentive. I mean, I think that what we're seeing is a lack of, for me, it just signals a lack of investment in soaps because it's a lack of like telling people like part of soap storytelling is like to tell intergenerational stories. It's to like build up like the reason, for example, I don't care about Robin, but like the reason Robin is beloved a lot amongst a lot of the fandom is because they watched her grow up. She had like really important story from a very young age. And so they were able to like grow with her and to see her tell these stories. And if you take away a category that would award like a younger actor, you take away the incentive to even write story for younger actors. So for me, it's like about disincentivizing the idea of writing for younger actors.
But I think they've already like incentivized doing that when they decided that child labor laws will apply to actors. Because like a lot of the reason why you don't get Robin like stories or even like Lil Red and Michael like stories anymore is that you can't keep a child on a set longer than 4 hours anymore. And so you can't center a child in a story and anchor them in a story if you can't have them on set 12 hours shooting like however many episodes a day. I think that they work around it when they have to, but like the way they used to make children like the center of a story when they needed to, like they're just legally not allowed to do that anymore.
I think that I don't mean being the center of a story, but like having stories. So like Scarlett, like that's a story that I would imagine that that young lady would like. and she probably still will, but like would submit to be like her Emmy story. There's a story on Days of like a young woman overdosing, and these are high schoolers. I don't know how old they are, but I know they're under 21. Like that's a story that like they would submit. And so if there's no category for it, it kind of de-incentivizes like this idea of like writing Emmy bait stories for them, even if it's not necessarily like central, but like giving them actual like moments.
I mean, for me, I feel like that's more of an issue for because like it is hard to put younger, late teens, early 20s people against the older vets. Like I feel more like bad for Scarlett Fernandez than I do for teens on days. Um, just because I think that there is room for them to like be on the set, especially if they're like over 18, like they're under 21, but they're over 18. You can be on set for 12 hours. You can do that and stuff. There's just not a lot like Scarlett Fernandez. Everything she does has to be done in 4 hours every day. And so like they have to write around when she can be there, which like you said, like that's for me is more de-incentivizing against writing for younger actors than it is like the age itself. It's that like you don't because of the way they shoot, because they have to do like weeks of show in a day sometimes. Like you can like legally she can only be there for 4 hours. That's why they have twins play the younger kids. So you can have one baby doing 4 hours and another baby doing 4 hours. Like that's why the Avery is played by twins, so you can have her in more story because you can switch out the sisters. But like with everyone else, like it's 4 hours. That's all you get a day. And so if like you're there on Monday for 4 hours and then by Tuesday you're already doing stories for the next month, it's just harder in general. And so like younger actor for me has been dying as a category at least since the early 2000s.
Hear that. I think I it's just gonna be different because I care about actors and I also understand wanting to get awards. And so I think that like 18 put an 18-year-old up against like John Lindstrom is crazy. Because they don't even have the like ability to have that much talent. Not in a shady way, but like you don't have the you just don't. You don't have the experience. And like you could be amazing and you could have natural talent and grit and be great, but you're not gonna have the nuance that like a veteran has. And so I understand wanting to get awards, and until actors say that they don't matter in that way. Like if you think about it, you're like, it still does matter to people that like JJ has all these awards. People get excited when they get awards. People are happy when they get them. Until they start saying these don't matter, I think that I'm gonna feel bad for them. But I get it. And it is what it is. Like I said, hopefully this is not um hopefully this is not like a omen of like a bad omen for soaps, because that's what it kind of feels like.
Rolling category. Emmys, if you're listening.
I don't think that was. All right. Well, do you have any hot takes that you didn't give in the stories?
No.
Uh,
I can't think of any. If I think of some in between yours, I'll leave them.
I think I only have two.
Okay.
One of the things that I realize is how basic I am about like when Spencer calls Trina Robinson. I really like that. I was like, oh yeah, I'm basic because I like when boys call. I recognize I recognize I'm basic. It's fine. Um, And then the other thing I was gonna say is I just think it's funny how the audience has like more of a soap brain than like the writers do. And I think it's because we've been watching shows for so long that we think things should be these big over the top things. And then when they happen, they fall flat because I feel like sometimes they try to do stuff that feels more grounded when we're like, no, 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 where's the over the top stuff? So, like, examples. People were like, "Oh yeah, Kevin's gonna wake up Ryan." That'd have been cool. But like the writers were like, "No, that's just Kevin."
I know. I wanted him to wake up Ryan.
Yes, I did too. Or I mean, I don't like this one, but like Trina is pregnant. I don't think that's gonna
No,
happen. I
I
don't think that's what
don't.
they're doing. I don't like that one, but like that's like a thing because people are that is something that in the 90s would have happened. Um,
Spencer's not dead. He has got plenty of time to impregnate her. She doesn't need to be pregnant now.
correct. Agreed.
So
Uh, Jason is activated and coming for Sunny. I
I
share that
give it to me.
theory.
Injected in my veins.
I share that theory. I also want it to be like very much like against his will because he did get buried with that card. So, hopefully he's activated. And hopefully it's Helena. Ugh, I would love it.
He got tatted up and now he's shooting at everyone but Sunny. Can't shoot at Sunny.
Can't shoot at Bay.
I love him too much.
Oh, I do also have another one. I appreciate Adam Huss's portrayal of Nicholas. I really do. He does his homework. He talks about it. He talks about the scenes he's watched. He put up a tweet today like praising Jeannie Francis. And I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. This is a man who praises the people around him. I've seen him praise Mora. I've seen him praise Jeannie. I've seen him praise Avery. I love that. I love a man who praises some women. So I just appreciate his portrayal. He brings such, even when he showed up with baby Ace, his like eyes were already watering. I was like, oh, I'm ready for him to have a scene with Jeannie. Like this is what I have been waiting for. Um, I am excited for that. I'm excited for the story. I'm excited for what they do with Nicholas. I think it's possible. I don't know what Adam's schedule is like and how he's going to come back and forth, but I think with Esme gone, it's possible that Nicholas is like able to go a little bit more back and forth um and be in Port Charles without being arrested. So yeah, I just really like Adam. I love the character of Nicholas. I've always loved the character of Nicholas. I think he's a hard character to play because you have to both love him and be frustrated at his choices. Um and I had been missing that. And so I'm glad Adam's here.
Can't wait for Monday when he's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did. Lord, I forgive you. You're all I have left, you and this baby. So
My God, she really does. Give me a Lucky back. I'm ready. I've accepted it. I'm ready for a Lucky recast as long as he's good.
he can come back as a redhead. I won't care. It does not matter. Chaos casting, Frank.
Don't bring back no bullshit. I need a good actor.
Anybody is anybody. If you were talking shit, you're getting recast. Your
JJ's
character,
not talking shit.
no, he's not. But he doesn't want to come back, so we have to do anything. Anything is anything. Chaos casting.
No.
Tracy's like, no.
Not for Lucky. Um, all right. We have talked. Ready
I
for
know. That's why I have
ready.
no.
We also went through in a way that Tanya and I normally don't, so it's easier. All right. Previews for next week. Monday. Laura intervenes. Alexis feels guilty. Sunny confides in Dante. Scott consoles Lucy. Anna makes a proposition. So there was an article in Soap Opera Digest with Ken Shiner talking about Scotty trying to get at Lucy. So I don't know. That is there.
So I mean, the Lucy shipper is, it's your time.
Maybe.
It's your time. I like how Alexis is about to center herself in Spencer's death. That's very
Tuesday, Britt expresses his doubts to Sunny. Tracy makes a confession. Martin is surprised. Anna makes a big announcement. Michael tasks Dex. So we're back to that. We're back to remembering that Michael and Dex are working together, which makes sense because Jason's coming back.
Michael's gonna task Dex with like making his daddy love him again. Like, listen, I love my daddy and I need you to help me get him to love me back.
I mean, shout out to Jack shippers. Y'all know I love you, but you know my OG ship, Mex. Um, Wednesday, Spencer's family and friends say goodbye. A surprise mourner appears for Esme.
Is it
Maybe
Heather?
it's,
Is she something to read people?
I hope it is Esme's secret twin sister, Tesme. Dante is conflicted. Finn makes a realization about Gregory. Willow and Michael take a step towards reconciliation.
No chaos in this story whatsoever.
Thursday, Chase has concerns. Carly gets an assist from Brooklyn. I really want Maxie to come on as a consultant and get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Nina has an ask for Martin. Michael appeals to Sunny. Willow is worried about Drew. So I guess when Michael was saying that Sunny hadn't forgiven him, I was really surprised. I thought he did, but I guess not.
Sure. Anything with that story.
Friday, Sunny learns about a recent string of mob hits. Carly and Drew discuss his vendetta against Nina. Brick makes a discovery. Cody helps Spinelli. So here's the thing. I appeal this every week. Daddy Dante. You know, Dante, Zaddy for Sam, Daddy to Dex. This is the way. Like I'm in that Mandalorian. This is the way. This is how we get Dex out of the situation. Dex is Dante's son. And that way we can have a full circle moment of Sunny about to shoot Dex. And then Dante runs in and is like, Dad, you're gonna shoot your own son or grandson. I need it. Give me my daddy Dante. And also give me more Sante so I can have both Daddy Dante and Zaddy Dante. Please and thank you.
I was just laughing that in my mind when I hear Spinelli and Stable Baby, I think the Jackal and Stable Baby. Stable Baby, the Jackal.
Give me my Spixie. I
I
don't
agree.
understand what's taking so freaking long.
I mean, now they're fake living together. It's like they're playing with us. What is this game? I am not having fun.
I'm not amused.
And so
Not amused.
we'll see what happens next week. I have to say, I am not super looking forward to it. Just based off of that description. It's like, oh, all right, I will be there because I'm always there. And none of that sounds amazing. Another funeral. We're going to another funeral.
I think that it's also, just like feels like bridge episodes until we get rid of Chris and Dan's writing and figure out what Liz and Pat finna be on.
Yeah. This week was the week they ended storylines. They were like, we're getting rid of Finn's shitty storyline. We're done with that. We're getting rid of Mo's son because who cares? Spencer's dead. And now I don't know what's
Just
happening.
Mosa, not to Spencer, but yeah, peace out to Mosa. Bye.
Yeah. I mean, peace out to Spencer. He's going on to bigger, better things. He's going to go play
Yes.
a Menendez brother. So, like, it's not like he's out here. Because usually, if you celebrate someone being off the canvas, they're like, you want them to be unemployed. You want them to lose their house. Well, like, he's off making a Ryan Murphy film. So he's fine. Like, don't worry about him. Um, he'll be back. But yeah, Mo's bye. And he's not going to be homeless either. He's living at home with Mo. So he's fine. So
The chaos is ending. Thank you, Tara, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being here. Always fun.
no
Tonya, Happy birthday. We love
Happy
you.
birthday.
Happy birthday, girl.
Happy
Um,
birthday to you. Happy birthday to
and that's
you. Okay.
taking us out. See you next week.